you start off wide, right? With all these options and choices.
Me, I'm looking for substance. So if you can't come with a substance level of conversation, I have no interest.
Okay.
You black man taking the liking of how my lifestyle is living and how I'm going, man. You being intrigued, man. That's very humbling for me, man.
Hold on, there's a difference between religion and relationship. There's a
Okay.
big
Well,
difference.
I have an understanding of religion. Okay. And I subscribe, for lack of better terms, to a higher power. Okay. I know it's a higher power. I definitely believe that. I have belief, but I'm definitely not that. Um, what was the word you just used again?
Pastoral.
No, the other one.
Oh,
It was
religious religion.
you said no. You said that I have religion, but I'm not. But it's a difference between what
Yeah,
was
there's a
it? A
difference between
relationship,
relationship and religion, and people get
right?
confused with
Relationship.
that.
Okay, so relationship with religion. What does it mean?
So, a
Break it
relationship
down.
with God is you having that intimate relation. Like, me and you, we're talking.
Right.
We're at this intimate moment. Not like that. Not like that. But
No, I got you.
communion. We're talking, we're
Mm-hmm.
collaborating, stuff like that. Same thing you could do with God. But people don't feel like they could do that with God. God is just like you talking to your best friend on the phone every single day. That's what he wants you to do. He wants you to, talk to him, ask him how he's doing, what's going on with him, stuff like that. Hey, Lord, what do you want me to do for you today? You always doing stuff for us. What do you want me to do for you? Religion
Okay.
is a subject, something that you go ahead and
Okay.
they teach you in Catholic school. That's religion.
Right.
You can go to college and get teach on religion. That has nothing to do with your relationship with God. You still have to have a relationship, and that's why I said there's a difference between religion and relationship. One is a subject, one is a relationship.
Okay. So then I lied because I have a relationship there because I do talk to God. I think the difference for me versus possibly people who are very religious, they're devout religious people, is that I don't know what God necessarily is. I just suspect that there is a God and I feel comfort by talking to him, but I in no way, shape, or form have the education or the understanding of what God is, nor do I want to. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's weird or not. Maybe I guess you can, what would they call me? Secular, whatever. Um,
Well, let me ask you a question.
Possibly.
Why wouldn't you want to?
Why would I want to?
Mm-hmm.
Because isn't it faith, right? Isn't it faith that we're supposed to have? So I kind of feel like it's beyond my understanding, and from what I've heard and what I've understood in the Bible is like if you did get to know God, it would be such a powerful thing that you probably couldn't comprehend it. So, I mean, what do they say? Your hair turns gray or your skin turns old, or something happens that is epic if you could fathom what God was. So I dare not.
But in order to get through life, you have to have God. And whether you believe it or not, you got to. Because who wakes you up every morning?
Yeah, I could say that that's a possibility that God does allow me to wake up every morning.
Who protects you when you leave your home and make sure you get back
I
safe?
I would say that in a divine way of thinking that it could possibly be God.
Why does it have to possibly be God? Why couldn't it be God?
Because there's a logical side of my thinking that I think totally contradicts with religion and faith. And for a person like me, there's always a teeter totter effect when it comes to faith and spirituality. So I juggle with that because I am a very logical person and I understand certain processes in life and systems and why things are the way they are from a earthly standpoint. But I feel like I will always have to balance that out. And I don't think it doesn't mean that I don't believe in God, because I kind of feel like there's a place even in science where God would surpass what scientists and people who have a strong studied understanding of things would even be able to comprehend. So I do believe that, but the processes always mess me up when it comes to that. So for me, possibility feels more comfortable than probability, or or definitive, if that makes sense.
So it's like straddling the fence. You want to
Yeah.
believe in God, but there's something making you fall back from believing God. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a hesitation. But here's the thing, what's making you fully trust God altogether?
What I think, to answer your question, it would possibly be what I see in the world. Okay, because that is always the my favorite word, juxtaposition, for me, is that the things that I've seen, the things that I have witnessed and can account for, in a lot of ways can contradict the premises that not that God exists, that God actively puts his effort into certain things. And I'm not saying that that's something that God is lacking in. I don't If there's a Lord, if there's God, I don't believe that he's lacking in anything. I think that some things he allows to happen, and I've heard people say that. I've heard pastors say that. I've heard people, who claim to be very spiritual minded say that. That's always the excuse, that God
It's called
allows
free
things
will.
to exist for a reason,
It's called free
right?
will.
But free will would be for people who have free will, not for people
Everybody
who
has
don't.
everybody has free will.
That would be where we have a contradiction at, on my part, because I don't understand free will if we are under governments. Free will would mean that there's no law, and the laws are divine, but we have laws that don't allow you to actually exercise total free will, if that
Not
makes sense.
necessarily. You have a choice to do right or wrong.
What'd you say now?
You have a choice to do right or wrong. There's a consequence whether you do right, whether you do wrong. So you can make the right choice or you can make the wrong choice. Just
Mm-hmm.
like here, you could go out and rob a bank. That's your free will. But is there going to be consequences behind it? Of course.
So I do get what you're saying, and please forgive me.
No.
I'm not I'm not doing this with you to quarrel, but I like conversations
No,
like
you're
this,
fine.
because no, because honestly, this is what people like me need to have with people like you in order to make things happen. If we're heading towards a spiritual path, a more spiritual structure path, then people like me who live in this logical kind of mindset, we need to have this discussion. So I hope that it's
No,
not coming across that way.
you're fine.
Okay, thank you.
You're
I just
fine.
want to clear that, because you're like, what? Why did he bring me on here just to argue? Like that's what my wife says. Like, did you just create the argument so that you can sit here and talk about what you know versus yeah. So I'm not trying to do that here. Um, however, however, that would be where I don't really understand it, because okay, you said free will, but free will is kind of based off of where you live, because free
No.
will, hear me out.
Go.
Okay. Free will in America is different than free will in Iran, okay, in China. Free will is different, even in the UK, because the punishments that we are talking about aren't divine punishments. They're governmental, judicial punishments that actually have to do with politics and what cultures and um, social norms have viewed as wrong. For instance, in America, I pretty much have a lot of free will, but in Iran, there's a limited free will because, okay, of course, let me put it like this. In America, of course, I can't rob banks. Okay. Of course, I can't take things that, are not mine. And I shouldn't, even adultery has some fines and penalties here. I mean, now we're talking about, especially these days, we have crimes of passion, not crimes of passion, but there's this new law where, in certain places where if you cheat as a spouse, is called affection laws, right?
Yeah, you go
So
to
there's
jail.
punishments. Yeah, there's a punishments for things here that are different in different countries. So I can be punished for being gay in Iran. Okay, that's a lot of people will argue in the Bible that that's a divine no, right? But in Iran, it's a not only a divine no, it's also a social no and a judicial no, which you can be executed for. Like in the UK, you can't post things against the government. That's a no. That's not a divine no, but it's a divine no. Well, it's a judicial no in the UK. So what I'm getting at is like, what punishment are we talking about here? Are we talking about, because it changes? So what is the punishment of God then? Beyond the one that we all know, hell, right?
Well,
What would be those
we don't know.
punishments?
I mean, I can't tell you how God would, what your consequences would be. Because
Okay.
all in all, that's a sin. So
Mm-hmm.
whether you pay for that sin or your children or people that you're connected to, that's between you and God, how he deals with you on that aspect. Your thing is you follow the land of the law and God's law. God still expects us as his servants, followers of Jesus Christ, to follow the land of the law because we're here, and also follow his law. We can't go around killing people thinking that's okay. We can't go around, committing adultery thinking that's okay. We can't go around, um, one of, lying, stealing, coveting somebody else. That's a sin. That's God's law. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know that we can't rob a bank. That's stealing. You can't go steal somebody's car. You can't go into the grocery store and go pick out groceries and walk out thinking it's okay. So you have consequences on every side of the spectrum. And
Right.
when you're coming into Christ, and when you said to Lord, okay, Lord, I surrender, I give my life to you, you, your slate is wiped clean. All your
Mm-hmm.
mistakes is thrown into the forgetful sea. But you don't go back to those mistakes. You don't go back committing what you've done in the past. Now you're like, okay, Lord, listen, I'm still struggling. I still need help. You know, please help me. You can do that.
Okay.
God is not this big old God who's a monstrous God who's scary and this and the third that you can't talk to him. Just like me and you talking, he's listening.
Mm-hmm.
God knows everything about you before you even bring it to his attention. But the reason why he wants us to talk to him and tell him what's going on is open honesty. In a
Mm-hmm.
court of law, when you get on that stand, you have to be open. You have to be honest. You have to tell the people what you did. God wants you to do the same thing. Hold yourself accountable. Accountability is the
Okay.
number one thing.
All right. I'm gonna jump in there real quick. Everybody, if you like what you're hearing tonight and you like the way this is going, tune in. This is the Club Geneva show, and we are here with my guest tonight. Lonnie, is that what you want to go by? Or do you
Yeah.
have a spiritual name? Is it
No,
sister something? You want me to say, okay, no sister Lonnie? Okay, of course, I am Shay, and welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you being here tonight. I think that I had to segue in at least that because people are like, what did I get myself into? A dude who knows, especially the faith community, like, what is this Buster talking about? He don't even know, he don't even know anything, and he just running his mouth. But that is where I feel like that is where if I was a total religious person, I feel like that is where my work would be, not actually in the church, per se. Not saying that work is not needed there, but the work would be needed out in the world where there's these
Well, let me ask you
spiritually
a question.
uneducated.
Where is it that I mean, I guess a lot of people get this misconception. In order to have a relationship with God, you have to be in the church.
Mm-hmm.
You see
No,
people
I don't
out.
believe that at all.
You see people out on the streets preaching and teaching all day long.
Yeah, we have this dude here who he used to have this megaphone and this the old speakers that was hooked up to the amp. Wish I knew his name, but no, he was awesome. Everybody knew him for that in the community. So yes, I do understand what you are saying 100% on that. I just kind of feel like um, the church can sometimes be an echo chamber, and which is something that kind of pulls me away from it because it seems like when I've went to church, the people who are there want to be there, and I get that, right? I get that from a standpoint of staffing, okay? Like the church is fully staffed, okay? Um, However, there are other people out there's people in the outside of the church who probably could use the lessons more than the people who are inside of it. So I always have a problem with that. I don't necessarily believe that I'm totally getting what God wants me to get when I step into a church. So I have a connection with God outside of church. I actually talk to him every day. Honestly, just about every day. It's a private thing. It's not something that I feel like I need to share with the world or go out and preach beyond that. If I felt like he told me that, that's fine. But for me, I have a certain relationship with God where I have a conversation. Sometimes I wake up, I say thank you for being here. Sometimes I wake up, I say why am I here? Different questions, philosophical thoughts that I have on God. I don't know if he's answering me back. A lot of people who are in church know that God is calling them and answering what they're asking. So that can't be 100% true across the board. What makes a person divine enough to get those answers for questions versus people who don't or who think they do and who are just mentally unstable?
Let me ask you a question. When you asking God questions, are you sitting there for a little while waiting for a response? Or are you just asking and going about your business?
The logical side of me, I'm not waiting on an answer. I'm just feeling that I need to ask it.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm
So
saying is, are you waiting on God to answer you back?
if he answered me back, I'd probably run out the house. Okay. Or I probably go to the behavioral health center and say, I'm experiencing schizophrenia. Okay. So I don't necessarily know. I don't want to hear it because I'm going to freak out. Okay. But do you really think that people hear God?
Yes. God speaks through multiple different things. Prime example, he can speak to you in dreams. He can show you a dream and it can happen the next day.
Mm-hmm.
He can speak to you through signs. You can ask God, Lord, okay, Lord, if you're real, I need you to show me something. And he'll show it
Mm-hmm.
to you. Now, are you gonna believe it or is your mind gonna be like, oh, that was just a coincidence? That's the thing.
But that's indirect. That's indirect communication.
But if God went ahead and showed you a sign right now, would you believe it or would your mind tell you that's a coincidence?
Well, the way that I think about God is I don't look to him for signs or miracles per se. I, I pretty much thank God for just giving me the breath that I'm breathing. And I think that that is a miracle in and of itself. And
It
any
is.
potential action that I can use with the breath that I have would be the miracle because I am able to do the work that maybe others cannot do because of the position I'm in, you know, especially being a very well privileged person in this country, like so many of us are. So that is my thoughts on miracles and the actions of God. I kind of feel like it's enough people on earth that God can flow those actions through them versus, a sparkle comes out the sky and I got a whole turkey sitting in front of me for Thanksgiving. Um, that's my thoughts on it. Am I wrong for that, or should I be looking for the scary voice in the dark telling me to do
Yeah.
something?
God shows up in mysterious ways. I mean, you could be
Mm-hmm.
thinking about something, and matter of fact, not even thinking about. You could have prayed about something like yesterday, and you were waiting on. You're not even. You forgot about the prayer, and God came through for you, and He's like, "Oh my goodness, thank you, Lord." You was. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
forgot about it. Oftentimes, we forget about our prayers, and we are so. It's like amazed how He just shows up and brings it back to our memories. Remember, you prayed for that. There's your answer.
What about the person who prayed to not have cancer and they still have it, or the person who prayed for an opportunity and it doesn't present, or the person who's impoverished who has a mental health disease who has no potential of receiving the things that they so see everybody else having, such as a normal life, right? One
I mean,
car or a bicycle.
every situation is different. Um, you can ask why did God heal this person and not that person, but God has a reason for everything. I can't answer that because I don't know why. But what I can answer
Which,
is,
go
we
ahead, I'm
have to
sorry.
have faith in what we believe in.
Right,
We have to go
right.
ahead. We can't go to God doubting what we're asking, petitioning God for. And then on top of that, is your heart clean when you're going to God? Are you asking God for something and you did something terrible the other day and then ask for repentance? It's like a double standard. You're right. You did something bad, but then you want God to do something for you now. You know,
But there's certain things that he will not do,
like what?
like fix the disabled, right? Like reform the deformed,
Why you say
or
He can't do that?
bring back the dead, or heal a broken, a mentally broken person, and I mean mentally
I mean, I've seen all
incapable
kind of
of being
miracles over the
repaired.
years that God has healed so many people in different scenarios. You
Why
know,
would he do that?
what do you mean? Why? So God can get the glory. Everything that God does, so He can get the glory. So people
I'm
can
pushing
believe.
back. I'm pushing back because I'm supposed to. Okay. I want to pull those answers out that people, the viewers, are who are like me, who want to hear. So just take that into
No,
consideration,
I know,
okay?
I know.
I do understand. Yes, okay. I just want to keep reiterating that to you because I don't want this to turn into like Jerry Springer God version, right? Yeah, I don't want I don't want any little angel midgets to come out or something, but no. So I'm actually asking those questions. So I really appreciate you taking the time to actually, probe my inability to understand what you clearly understand. It's perception. So I appreciate that. Which brings me to another question, which is why are church people who believe in faith so adamant all the time about what they know is truthful? I mean, because you'll have an argument with somebody who is very scripturally sound. You have a debate with them, and they'll say, "This is the truth," but the truth is stoked in faith, and faith is not logical. So, from a earthly perception, it's not true. If that makes sense.
Now you're talking. You're. I mean, when you're talking about that, you got to realize there's a lot of Christians who are holy rollers, and whatever you tell them, they're not gonna believe. It's their word, and that's it. You can't debate with them. So there's no way of going ahead and coming against somebody who's gung ho, who does not see it any other way than their own. Whereas,
I don't have a problem. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Please.
no,
Excuse
go
me.
ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't have a problem with them standing firm in their beliefs.
But here's the
I would just
problem
feel
is
like,
the
go
issue
ahead.
is when you have somebody that doesn't want to hear your side of the story and only hears their side of the story. That's the disconnect because
I would say that.
they only see what that they're right. They're not gonna think any other thing or not even allow you to have an opinion about how you believe. So if you come in contact with a holy ruler, it's gonna draw you further away because they're attacking you in a way. Like, okay, I'm
Mm.
right, you're wrong. Whereas I rather show you the way. I rather tell you, okay, hey, listen, you can go this way, you can go that way. I'm not gonna beat it over your head to believe in God. I don't do that.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I'm going to segue right into thank you, Lonnie, for coming on. And I want you to go ahead and throw out your channel so people who like what you're putting out there can navigate to you.
So I have two channels. I have Divine Connection, that it comes on every Wednesday and Saturday. Wednesdays we do a little bit of Bible study, truth, raw uncut segments, and Saturdays we do testimonies. People who have a comeback story, who have hit rock bottom and has came back out, and we talk about that. And we have special guests on our testimony Saturdays. So you can follow
Okay.
me, comment, like, share, whatever you want to do. I could be found on Facebook, Lonnie Middlebrooks. That's Lani Middlebrooks, Middlebrooks. And the
Okay. Thank you
second
for
one,
that.
sorry. Second one is I
No,
have
go ahead.
a men's broadcast every last Monday of the month where I have a bunch of men get together, talk about any and everything. We talk about different topics every single month. So if you're a man that needs that support, because we know that a lot of men suffer in silence, don't have that free space, well, I got you one. So you are more than welcome to join. And you can find me on Facebook for more information on that.
Okay, I'll be sure to put that in the comment section or at least the description of this video. And I just want to let all the viewers out there know that I was actually a part of the men's group
Okay.
not too long ago, and I bummed real hard. I was just blabbering my life away because I got on this roll where I could not get off. And I was like, I gotta fill in the blanks. I gotta fill in the blanks. I gotta fill in the blanks. So it was difficult. The discussions was difficult, and the testimonies were very tough to listen to because, of course, men don't necessarily have a good framework societal wise for sharing their feelings and emotions. So it was like grinding sandpaper together. But we all got through it as us men, and so will you. I would encourage men out there to come on her platform and be a part of that. It was very enlightening. So thank you so much, Lonnie. Um, that was really cool. I really appreciated it, even though I bummed real hard.
Well,
Okay.
you need to come
Uh,
on this next one.
hey, that's gonna be the mother of all bums right there. If I do that one, okay, I'll think about it definitely. But it was a very cool experience to the fellas out there. It's very well needed. I thought it was cool. You know, I want to know about the raw stuff. I didn't get to hear that. The raw and uncut. What's that all about on your show?
Well, that's on Divine Connections. I mean, we talk about stuff that the churches don't talk about. Adultery, pulpit pimping, we got a lot of prosperity pastors out here who only use the church as a business that be pimping the people for money. So we talk about that.
We about to hit that one. That
So
was one of my questions.
we talk about that. We talk about, the homosexuality. There's a stuff that we talk about the church don't talk about. So there's a lot of stuff that we
Mm-hmm.
talk about. Tomorrow we're gonna actually be talking about bullying, you know.
Okay. Wow. What time is that? Is that a live
That
show
is
or is that
gonna be
just a
live at about 10:30 tomorrow.
live and uncut? Okay. Definitely be there. Okay. Divine Connections. I'm glad that you brought that up. That was my third question that I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you about prophet preachers. They are very confusing people if you are a non religious person or a person who is outside of religion who might want to be invested in it because they pose a certain disposition to what faith is when money and opportunity is involved based off of what you have. It becomes a social class within the church, with the preacher being the president or the CEO of this pyramid scheme, this religious pyramid scheme. I feel like it takes away from uh, what religion is. So why are there not droves of pastors and preachers throughout the land who are fighting against these people for doing this? Is it real on any level? Is prophet preaching real? And if
Majority
so,
of churches that you see that doing is the mega churches. And guess what? These mega churches are ran by the government
okay, how so?
because they're under 5031c. They get money from the
Mm-hmm.
government. So they have
Mm-hmm.
to, a lot of those churches have to preach a certain way.
Like,
They can't preach on homosexuality. Can't preach on sex.
uh-huh.
So you're
Okay.
gonna hear a lot of these majority prof and prosperity preachers. All they want is your money. And I'm gonna be honest.
But they don't get their they don't get the majority. I mean, they get their tax write-offs from the government and
But they have to
certain
preach a certain
opportunities
way.
to receive block grants.
They have to preach a
Yeah,
certain way.
I get that. But my problem is it's the donors that support those churches more than even the block grants or any type of incentives that they would have from the government. Why are there not more pastors who are not under that who fight against that? The only one I've seen who's been very vocal, the one of the few. Okay, we talking about TD Jakes. We talking about Cleflo Dollar. We talking about. Give me some more, please.
You got a whole bunch.
I can't stand them.
You got a whole
I
bunch.
can't stand them.
You have a whole bunch.
Okay,
But
I think they're
you do
slime.
got people that preach out against it. But here's the thing: they're smaller congregations. These are smaller churches, and a lot of smaller churches don't get heard. Why? Because they're small. But there's more power in a smaller church than in a mega church. Why should I have to go when I go to a mega church? I can't speak to the pastor. There's too many security guards. I gotta set up an appointment. But check this out. I could tithe every day. I mean every week to the church, a mega church. But guess what? When I need help, they won't help you.
Yeah, like Joel Osteen wouldn't let the hurricane victims into the church to sleep during the hurricane, which is crazy to me. If you are tied to block grants and governmental assistance, but you do not support the community as a governmental function, that makes it a very weird thing for me to see. Um, I want to talk about Geno Jenkins because he is a pastor who adamantly rejects all prophet preachers and pastoring and anything in between. He is a logical, literal person who appeals to a logical, literal person like me. But what I see is him not getting the black investment from a donor standpoint. Like he's not getting the influence that these other pastors get, and he literally follows the Bible word for word. He's made me feel bad, which I feel
That's
like that's
because
something.
that's your answer. You answered your own thing. Because he
What is it?
follows the Bible word by word.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas these other
Yeah, and I
people
know he does.
and does not follow the Bible word by word. They twist the word. They tell you, oh, if you don't sow a seed, you're not going to get blessed. Where is that in the Bible? Why do I have to sell everything in order to get blessed?
Yeah. Somebody just said that you need to pay before you pay your daycare, I forgot which pastor, which idiot said that, but he said, before you pay your daycare, before you pay your groceries, you tithe, because that's the only way that you receive the blessings of the Lord.
But here's the thing, where people get misconstrued about the whole aspect, tithing was never all about money. If you really look at it, tithing never was about money.
What was it about?
They gave up their first animals. They didn't give
You
up
can
all
have
their
my
money.
dog. Yeah, you can have my dog before I give you my money. Definitely, you can have
But,
my first animal.
but
Mm-hmm.
10%, yes, hands down. The church needs a 10%. But at the same
10%
time,
of what? Apples, oranges,
no, I'm talking
eggs.
about when we talk about money. 10%.
So you talking about
But here's the
shallops
thing.
or whatever they used to.
Here's the thing. Before you sow into anybody, I don't care what church you're a member of. I don't care if you've been there for 60, 55. I don't care how long you've been in the church. You still need to pray and ask God, Lord, is this the place that you want me to sow in? Because there's a such thing as good ground and bad ground.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't even go ahead and ask God, hey, Lord, is this the right church you want me to be at in the first place?
But God would tell everybody different things because everybody has their own perception of God.
But
So
why would you
everyone
go
would hear
somewhere
something
that God
different.
told you not to go to? Why wouldn't
Well,
you
that's
invite God into, if you're going to the house of the Lord, which is supposed to be his
mm-hmm.
house, why not ask God, hey, is this the place you want me to be at?
Agreed. Agreed. That's why I like Geno Jenkins, which I want to ask you because Geno Jenkins said just the other day, I watched him a 15, 20-minute sermon, and he denounced giving, he denounced paying pastors to preach. He said that that is a unique sin to pay a pastor to preach. He said, I have a job. I have a 9 to 5. He said, I do this specifically to save souls, not to save money. He said, I do this. He said, and he even brought up a scripture. Maybe it's some Corinthians, somebody, a viewer can drop that in the comment section. I'll find that clip and I'll play it. But he said that a pastor, it is a sin to pay a pastor. What do you think about that? You just admitted he was literal.
Biblically,
You just said he's literal.
Okay, biblically, where is it in the Bible that you're supposed to pay a pastor?
Okay.
I mean, where's it at? If somebody can show me in the Bible, then that's fine.
That's what I read. That's what I hear. I've never heard that. So a lot of these things that people say, I just don't agree with it because I've never. It sounds like a hustle. It sounds like a hustle.
A lot of people has turned the church into a hustle.
What was $1 back in, I don't know, BC, whatever the hell it was back then? What was $1? What, shells? I have some nice pearly shells that I can give you, or I could see it if the church said, bring me food, bring me food.
But let me ask you a question. The church is not how it used to be back in the day. The church is supposed to be a place for the sick. People come who are sick. Okay, you got all kind of stuff that happens at church. The church is supposed to be out in the community serving the homeless. Where's that happening?
Well, my thoughts too on what you just said there is you can pray. Pastors turn the things that they do into heavy lifting work in which they would need to be provided money for. And what I mean by that is time, right? Like, I need to go here. I need to go here. I need to go there. It's like if you gave me a position, a job, right? And you said, hey, there is task autonomy 100% in this job. Do what you need to do. I would create work for myself, right? I wouldn't make the work dependent on the volunteers. I would make myself work so that I could justify my existence, right? For this task autonomy that you've given me. If the power of prayer is so strong, one could pray for a community and go to work, do a 9 to 5. That's where I get the logic that Geno Jenkins was saying. Is like, okay, you got 20 people in a hospital who are sick. You need not go talk to each one of them on the same day. Pray for all of them outside the church and take your butt to work. That's what I got from him. So you said it too. You said you didn't see it in the Bible. So I'm glad that you reaffirmed that for me, because I wasn't going to even look. That's the thing about me. I wasn't even going to find it in the Bible because
Where
it
are you
didn't
gonna
make
find that in
sense.
the Bible?
That's what I'm saying. Certain things don't make
Well, let me
sense
ask you a
enough
question.
for me.
If you could find me where people, it's okay with people to take up 8 tithings during one church service, please let me know.
Yeah. Yeah. But back to the point that
And then,
the
oh,
position
let me
I was,
ask them. Let
go
me
ahead.
check this out. Then you got those pastors like have a building fund for the next 10 years. They always have a building fund.
And stop going to Egypt. We don't need you to go to Egypt. It's enough suffering here. I'm not with that. I don't want to give you $2,000 so you can go over to Ethiopia. I'm sorry, I don't. I feel like if you're going to do that, there needs to be a different
Why
way.
don't you? You know, we got enough homeless people out here. Why not help those people? Matter of
If you're
fact,
getting,
I would commend a lot of these pastors who have churches. Why they don't open their church doors to the homeless that's sitting on the street, sleeping on the street every night?
yeah, and use the volunteers to clean up in the morning, or teach the homeless who come through the door about God and teach them to clean
But guess
and
what?
become
Half the
cleanly.
people that's in the church despise homeless people. They could care less about them.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're beneath them. And they wouldn't care about
And
them
nobody wants.
until they but once the tables turn and they're in that situation, that's when they want help.
Yeah, nobody wants to sit next to a homeless person. Nobody, because it lowers their position. I get that. I did want to like. I did want to go back to this point though, the argument and the debate side of things, because, like we just talked about. Um. Well, let me go to this. Okay, so having a logical debate with somebody who is very religious to me is not a win for anyone, because let me make sure I get this right. So, if a person is talking about, let's say, Noah, right? And they're saying, like, hey, there were two elephants, there was two giraffes, there was Tyrannosaurus. I don't know what the hell was on the boat. Okay, there's a lot of different animals. First of all, they don't fit. So faith is something where I'm like, I can't argue that. But what I'm getting at is, like, a lot of these pastors use faith as a way to debate people who are like me, but actually none of this stuff is even in the Bible to begin with. The Bible doesn't address how the animals were loaded into the ship. It doesn't address how big the ship was. In many instances, the Bible does not definitively give points of an argument. It gives a well-rounded description of what an event was, but it doesn't go into minute detail. I kind of feel like pastors and people who argue these certain points in order to gain followers and support, they create those small points about God. Okay, which is why, like, anyone, like, say for instance, you having this issue with pastors not bringing homeless people into churches is a very valid point. But they would find a very minute way to bring the Bible in to say that that's not something that they should do. You can always argue with the Bible because people use it for their own perspectives. They bring their own knowledge, they bring their own trickery into how they talk about the Bible. Very loose, raggedy point that I'm bringing up. But what I'm getting at, it's a no-win. Everything that we're talking about right now can be debated on the other side of things. Somebody else can bring up a certain point and they can try to squelch what you're saying through scripture, through their own interpretation of the scripture. So that
Well, let me ask you a
destroys
question.
people like me.
By me debating with you, is that going to
I
draw
sounded
you?
really stupid when I said that.
Well, let me ask you a question.
I don't know.
By
Go
me
ahead.
debating with you, is that going to draw you to Christ?
Absolutely no.
Okay, so why would I debate with you? It doesn't make no sense. My goal is not to go ahead and deter you from Christ. My goal is to bring you to Christ. And if I debate with you, that's going to make you not want to come to Christ.
There's a reason for that though. The reason is a logical person cannot understand how you can debate faith. I would find it would be more attractive going well following faith would be more attractive if a person told me straight up, "Hey, I believe this in my heart. Have a good day." Okay? That would be more magnetic to me because that would show me that you need not argue what I'm talking about my logical side of things. That would say that you are into faith, but so much these days online, everywhere, it's these huge, it's these people who feel like they have to debate every nugget of God. And it makes no sense to me because if you're really into faith, why are you trying to debate what your faith is? I watched a pastor talk about how what did he say? It was something about the dinosaurs. You know why he was okay, it was an evolution debate. And it was this world renowned pastor and everybody was like chiming in on it and he was actually trying to provide credible proof through the teachings of the Bible why dinosaurs and evolution do not blend well and how dinosaurs are this and they didn't evolve into any. It just made no sense because I'm like, if you truly believe in God, first of all, you have no clue about how and why God made these processes to begin with, even if there's evolution, right? Like, who's to say that God didn't say evolution is fine? Evolution exists. However, why are you debating it? It's my process. Whatever it is God's process. You know, if we came from monkeys, that's God's thoughts on how he made us come from monkeys. Maybe before Adam, maybe he didn't use soil to create Adam. Maybe what he meant was, hey, the soil of these monkeys will turn into a person. You don't need to know my process. All you need to know is that it's there. So I don't get people within churches trying to argue. It creates too much opportunity for a person like me or a person who's following to be played.
I
You
mean,
can make up
like I said
anything.
before, well, I'm not going to debate the Bible. I'm not going to debate about God because my thing
Mm-hmm.
that's going to make you push you further away from wanting to have a relationship. Why have a
Yeah.
relationship? Why go to church? If you run into a person that's just so debatable, and your mindset could be like, okay, well, if that person's debatable, what kind of other people? That them other people could be just like them. So no,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do. I'm not gonna debate. All I'm gonna do is
Mm-hmm.
let you believe what you want to believe, and I'm gonna pray for you in the midst of all it all, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't
I
have to
just want
go
to take some
ahead and
time.
throw the book at you for you to believe. No, I don't believe in that.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. I just want to take some time to apologize to all the viewers because that point earlier that I was trying to bring about, it was chopped up. I didn't even know what. Look, my brain was. It was the same thing that happened on your show where I was trying to grab that point and it was just, look, it was melting. It was leaving me as I was trying to. It was pretty bad, man. I feel bad for people having to listen to me try to figure out how jacked up my brain is on a
I
podcast.
mean, it
Okay,
is
so
fine. You
I do
just
apologize. No, it cracks me up when that happens though. So I don't mind picking on myself, but that was pretty bad. I do apologize to people, uh, and thank you for enduring. Okay, what you had to listen to. Okay, but they say that perseverance leads to faith, right? So you can be whole. I think that's the book of John or James or one of them, right? Something like that. Whatever. I'm gonna mess scriptures up too. Who's the best mega pastor? Who's your best? Who's your favorite?
I don't do with mega pastors.
All right, who would be your favorite? Just pretend like you do. If there was
No.
one, okay, who's the
Okay,
most
so you know what?
entertaining? Who's the most entertaining to
If
you?
you want to talk about somebody, I would say Pastor Mike out of Alabama.
Okay, what makes him so a great catch?
He's relatable and he sticks to the Bible.
Okay, what about this new hot preacher though down in Atlanta that all the girls are fawning
Are
over?
you talking
The
about
one,
Anthony Mitchell?
yeah, he's so like Yeah, I hear he got a lot of women at that church going to go see him. That's all I can say. I mean, I get that
People don't like him
he's
neither
very
because he's by the book.
well. Really,
Mhm.
I see a lot of women. Yeah, he does seem kind of by the book, but I see a lot of women like gravitating to him, and it's like, geez, is this you? Is this the new? Is this the new hottie pastor that
It's
people
not
want
even
to
about that. You got to realize that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people flock to titles.
Mm-hmm.
They flock
But
to
he's a new
titles.
hot thing.
Huh?
He found the algorithm. He found the spiritual algorithm. He's the new hot thing.
I mean, he's been out there. I mean, I don't go
Now
after
he's hot
people
though.
who just because they're hot commodity. I want somebody that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
preach the word and
You
go
got people
straight.
running to go see him, flying directly to Atlanta.
Yeah,
The price, the damn ticket flight, the damn ticket prices are higher to fly to Atlanta now because of
because of
him.
him.
Yeah, he's so hot right now.
I don't follow him.
It's like Zoolander. Remember that movie? He's so hot right
Yeah,
now.
I don't follow him.
Yeah. I got a question for you. There is more than just Christianity in the world. What makes Christianity so much better than all the other religions on the planet?
Again, I don't
And I
go by
say that with
Christianity.
confidence.
I don't
And I
go by.
say that with confidence. Okay, well, then what makes God, the God that Christianity reveres, and I'm speaking from the outside in, what makes that God better than everybody else's God? And I say that with confidence. What makes that God, what makes the Lord better than all the other gods, the other deities?
Majority of these religions still believe in God. They still worship the same God. At the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I'm not into this whole Christianity, um, baptism, Baptist, Pentecostal. I am a disciple.
So you think like Hindu people actually might serve the same Lord, or
I don't
Muslims, or
no, I know Muslims they don't stand the same Lord. But at the end of the day, they still have to come back together and pray to the same one God. There's only one God. Now, if you believe
so
in a
you think that?
statue, if you, I mean, some people pray to a statue, some people pray to
Mm-hmm.
Mary, but at the end of the day, there's still only one God.
So there's not like Christianity isn't like the hot God, right? Like
Mm.
it's yeah, okay. I just want to make sure because some people like I can ask 8 people who are from the same congregation as
Let
you
me ask
are
you a
the
question.
same
Where's Christian
question,
and
and they'll
where's
have 8
Christianity in
different
the Bible?
answers.
Where is it at in the Bible?
Well, I heard it's nowhere in the Bible. I
So,
think that, but I think the key word is Christ followers, right?
but
Christianity is Christ
when
followers.
you find out where is it in the Bible, we go.
Okay, so then what race owns Christianity?
What race? Where's this? Where's that in the Bible?
Well, there is outside of the Bible an ownership of Christianity. And I can say that with confidence as well because before our artists started making renditions of Jesus looking like us, which I think is wrong, um, Jesus looked like a hippie with a robe on coming out of a trailer. I don't care. That's what he looked like. He looked like a normal hippie walking out of a trailer after doing some peyote, coming out of a trailer with a white robe on. That's what Jesus looked like for a long time. Didn't look like what the Bible said he was. Didn't look like what your thoughts would be if you close your eyes and think about what Christ would be like. And actually, the painting of Jesus was actually just a very a good looking guy back then. He was like a what would be like a Matthew McConaughey type figure from the 1400s that somebody's like, dang, that guy looks good. I'm gonna pay him, and that's gonna be our Jesus. Just a picture of somebody. So what I mean by what race owns Christianity is, I think you know what I'm getting at, is that white supremacy is very much so tied to Western Christianity and philosophies. So, what place is there for black people, other races, Asian people, Hispanic people? Well, Hispanic people, they kind of align very closely with uh, a lot of them do, not all of them, but a lot of them do align very closely with white values for whatever reason.
Well,
Sorry
they
about
mainly
that.
close to
Sorry about that
Catholic.
election. Yeah,
They
yeah. Sorry about that election.
they
There you go, Catholicism. But what I'm saying is what place is there for everybody else? Because right now, as it stands, Christianity is pretty much we just following a white supremacist version of Christianity in this country.
But let me ask you a question. Why are we so fixated on race? God doesn't see us as race.
So then, why not just keep the white Jesus picture up?
Again, who are we worshiping? Are we worshiping a picture? Because at the end of the day, it's still a relationship.
I like that you said that because I don't necessarily agree with the black Jesus with the afro either. I don't agree
So
with
I
the
mean, we
yeah
can have a Mexican Jesus, a black Jesus. We can have all different races, but at the end of the day, what relationship do you have a relationship with God? That's what
yeah.
matters.
I like that. I like that. I think that's a very thoughtful
Because,
response. I
like,
know
I
you've
mean,
thought about this
that goes
before.
ahead and brings back to the point of this whole racism. When a child grows up, they learn race. Why are they learn
Mm-hmm.
race? They learn to hate other races. For what?
Mm-hmm.
When God is love. God is agape love. God loves everybody. God don't see people for them black or white. Oh, you're not going to get in heaven because you're black. Really?
Mm-hmm. But blacks went through hell
Yes. But here's the thing.
because of religion
But let me
for the
ask you a
most
question.
part.
If God made everybody the same, we wouldn't have no problems, right? Everybody would be the same.
Which is why I feel like suffering is geographical and circumstantial, not necessarily intentional, like on the Lord's part. I think it's just where you are is where you are, and certain conditions bring about certain things that you have no control over, and nor does the Lord offer his actions or his does the Lord involve himself in your suffering. I think it's just the way that he designed things to be, which is why a person with cancer can't pray away it, which is why a person who's in a war, who lost 5 members of their family last week, or let's say 146 little girls got hit with a missile last week at a Iranian school, and none of those kids had control over their fate. There was no intervention to change the trajectory of the missile. The circumstantial nature of God is always going to create people like me who have these questions, especially even when you think about like the African American, or let's say the early African experience in the U.S., right? The way we came off of these ships, and struggled for 400 years, whipped, beat, destroyed, crushed, all under the same Bible that we pray to nowadays, which is why I asked the question about which race owns Christianity. Right now, it's still a white supremacist uh, uh, religion, and that it's not something that I'm asking you to answer. It's just something that I'm posing because I think it's too interwoven, right? And whatever God's plan is, this has got to be a really good plan. It's got to be a really, really good plan because most of us don't see the outcome of it, don't see the reason for it and why it existed. So that's just what I think about it. You got any closing thoughts?
My closing thought would be at the end of the day, you have to have a relationship with God. You have to have that intimate relationship with God. We can't, I mean, we could base it on everybody else's relationship, but each person is going to have a different relationship with God. Each person going to spend different amount of time with God a day. Some may spend 10 hours with God. Some may spend 2 hours with God. May spend 30 minutes with God. But whatever the outcome is, that's the outcome. Everybody's going to have a different outcome. God speaks to everybody differently. He may speak to you by dreams. He might speak to you through signs. He might speak to you through numbers, through animals, through nature. But whatever it is, at the end of the day, it's important to not get caught up in the lingo of man made stuff and just go to the source, and that's God. You want to get it
Mm,
closer to God, fast and pray. That's it.
excellent. Excellent. Man, well, Lonnie, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. And like I said to all my viewers out there, if you are interested in what this young lady had to say tonight, which was a lot better than what I said tonight, okay? A lot more spiritual minded education right there than just me blabbering for the last 20, 30 minutes, okay? If you want to listen to her, please go to Divine Connection and you can catch her on Facebook. And I'll let you go ahead and at least plug that one more time for people who are listening. Go ahead.
So again, you can catch me on Facebook, Lonnie Middlebrooks. That's Lani Middlebrooks, Middlebrooks. There you'll go ahead and see my videos from Divine Connection, and along we will see the men's broadcast. Like I said, Divine Connections every Wednesday and Saturday. Wednesday about 10 o'clock, 10:30, and then Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then the men's broadcast is every last Monday of the month, which will be March 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So
All right.
I just want to thank you for having me come on. I know I was all over the place. So I just
Mm-mm.
want to thank you.
No, you're very welcome. Viewers out there, you heard her. Go to Divine Connection. Don't go to hell, okay? All right, go to Divine Connection. That's no, I'm plugging you. I'm plugging you and the Lord right now, okay? Don't go to hell. Go to Divine Connections, okay? Let it all out. It'll be very enlightening for you and your spirit. Okay. I don't know why I looked up. Oh, I'm looking at the camera up here. I should be looking at you. See, I got to cut that out now, okay? Don't go to hell, y'all. Okay, have a nice night. Thank you, Lonnie. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.